What's going on, guys? Hopefully you're off to an incredible start today. Today we have a very in-depth actual video thumbnail audit for you guys to go ahead and see exactly what types of thumbnails work and what types of thumbnails don't work as well, so you can actually get the best bang for your buck on your advertisements, guys. So leave a like on the video as well, leave a comment down below if you enjoy, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Okay, many times people believe that thumbnails are obsolete or they don't serve a genuine purpose, when in reality, other things are far more important than them, like your product and your video. But when you have a good thumbnail that goes ahead and allows you or the user to start scroll stopping, it's going to get you much better results. And if you can understand the really science behind thumbnails and the consumer psychology and what they're actually viewing, it's going to help you out a lot.
The ad creative consists of three components, right? You have the ad copy, you have the thumbnail, and you have the video. It's very important that all three are dialed in per our structure, because our ad creative is actually the forefront of the actual product, right? So how are people going to see and be interested in our product? The only way is through our marketing, which is our ad creative on Facebook. Right. So it's super important to make sure that your ad copy, your thumbnail, and your actual video meets our structure and has, follows certain guidelines as well. We want to actually prevent our customers from scrolling. We want them to stop and watch our ad. The whole goal of the thumbnail, the initial goal is for them to click on the video and watch the video. Right. So it has to be scroll stopping. It has to be attention grabbing. It has to be something that disturbs their flow, not in a negative way, more in a positive way, something that they're interested in watching. Now, keep in mind, what's Facebook's end goal here? Facebook's end goal here is that they want to make sure that their users' experience, their actual active users, is the best possible, right? So that's why there's a few things that we would want to keep in mind when we do have our thumbnails highlighted a certain way, so that we're only positively benefiting their experience rather than negatively benefiting the experience. Now, I'm going to go ahead and drop down exactly the structure of this. So number one, you'll notice this is a 1:1 image. So the aspect ratio is 1:1. It's a 1:1 square image, right? So we don't want to have too wide of an image because it appears much more narrower in your mobile view. So to maximize that view and also make it visually appealing, what you want to go ahead and do is have that 1:1 image, right? So that maximizes the entire screen of your mobile view, right? Typically 90% of the users are on mobile scrolling through Facebook. So that's why that is very important. So first step, 1:1. Second step, as you see, this is a very high quality image. Now, regardless of what other features you have on your thumbnail, if you do not have a high quality image, it's going to give you higher CPMs. Facebook will not be likely to go ahead and show it to your ideal buyers, and you're not going to do well in that ad. You need to have a very high quality thumbnail, the high quality image to begin with. Now, second, it needs to be a realistic image of your product in use. Right? Why is that important? Because a lot of times I see the editors, regardless of who you outsource it to, they're putting a person in a random spot in a beach, and it doesn't look realistic. It seems like it's fake. So it has to be realistic edit. Even if it's an edit, it must be a realistic edit. So let's keep that in mind as well. Another very important point: the product should be in use. What is the most appealing portion of that product? As you know, in our videos, we actually go ahead and make sure the first 8 seconds consists of the most appealing portion of the video. So the thumbnail also should show the most appealing section. Now, of course, it's not a video, of course, but it has to showcase a product in use. How do you use that product? It shouldn't be just a product in a box. It shouldn't be the product in a package. It shouldn't be just a product opened on a random table. It should be, how is it realistically being used? Vibrant colors. Now, this is very important, right? You are seeing a thumbnail. What, as human beings, we're visual creatures, right? What attracts our attention? Vibrant colors. If you've ever been to Vegas, if you've ever been to a casino, you see so many colors, you see sparkling everywhere, you see lights everywhere. That grabs your attention. So it's important that your image that you're using has vibrant colors, right? Colors that are different, not black, not really dark colors, not brown overall, but vibrant, different, right? Appealing, catching your eye. That's why it's very important to have that. Now, next point. eye contact, right? Now, of course, all images, you cannot always source for a product that may have limited footage that has someone showcasing eye contact, but eye contact is extremely, extremely important. What does eye contact mean? Let's say you're selling a skincare product, right? It's a lotion that, you know, is being applied to the face. Now, what you would want to do is obviously high quality product in use image, right? The in use meaning maybe the person is applying on their face. Now, keep in mind, whenever you have skin, of course, we'd want to avoid close-ups. And I'll talk to you about do's and don'ts of thumbnails as well towards the end. But again, no close-ups, but we can have a zoomed out image of the actual person looking into the camera. The product should be in frame and center of focus. Now, these are two different things. In frame means your image should have your product somewhere where you can see it. That's in frame. Now, center of focus means you can literally look at the center of the image, right? And be able to see that your product is there, right? So the first thing that grabs your eye, center of focus, your product should be there. So now if you have a person, that's like kind of on the right side of the image with a product away from it, it may be in frame, but it's not in focus. So you're more likely to see the person itself. You don't even know what product you're focusing on. And that would not really add much value. So you want to make sure it's both in frame and in focus. Let's also talk about the background as well. The background isn't as busy. Matter of fact, there's nothing going on in the background. You are more likely to see what's actually in frame, in focus, which is the product. Because the background isn't busy and the background isn't some dark color, it makes it overall vibrant and it has a good contrast to it, because now you're seeing the dinosaur is blue, the dinosaur is brown and dark brown, and the kid's shirt is different. Everything is different. So you're able to see that contrast because of the background. Now, if you had a black background completely, it would be harder to, bring your attention to it. It would be harder to focus on it. If it was dull, it would be harder to bring your focus to it. And that's why it's important to have that, slightly blurred or especially a non-busy background.
For example, one of the brands we're running right now, all of the thumbnails, okay, this is a very unique type of product that we're running right now as well. It's doing very well. And all of the thumbnails, okay, are very bland, but they have all these points. You don't have to have a million things happening in the thumbnail. And quite frankly, like I've mentioned, okay, having a million things happening in the thumbnail is going to derank you, okay, and derank your cost, your CPM, okay, because literally there's no focal point and it looks jumbled. Facebook likes when it's clean and making sure there's actually nothing going on. There shouldn't be a crowd in the background. There shouldn't be anything happening. Okay, it should be constant and it should be clean. Cleanliness is the most important part of the thumbnail.
Now, text on thumbnails. People may say, wow, now you read a text, you're more interested, right? Because it's grabbing your attention. Hey, here's one thing. We already include all that attention grabbing in our ad copy. So text is not really necessary in our thumbnails. Also, Facebook is strictly against having text because it increases the CPMs, right? So they say that less than 20% of the entire image should be text. While that has some sort of truth to it, a normal thumbnail will do much better than a thumbnail with text on it. And that's just split tested and it's 100% correct. So always go ahead and make sure that you don't have any text on your thumbnails. The product should be highlighted. Now, even if the product is in focus, there's still a lot of things going on, right? There's a bolt, there's another dinosaur, there's a kid, there's his hand, there's the emoji. The product should be highlighted. So the first thing that you're likely to see is the product, right? So whatever product you're selling should be highlighted. In this case, the product is very, very highlighted, but you're not able to see as clearly. As you can see, my arrows are going around it. It's being highlighted because of the white background. But it becomes even more important. Let's say if we have slightly darker of a background than white, it becomes even much more important to go ahead and highlight your product. Now, next thing, you must have an emoji. Per our recommended structure, emoji grabs the attention, right? You are going to be looking at the emoji when you're on a thumbnail. And one point that's very, very important, make sure the emoji is relevant to your product, right? You don't want to be selling a baby item and then have, a shocking emoji or a blowing up emoji, whatnot, right? You want to have a hearts emoji or something very calm, right? You don't want to be selling, let's say, for example, in the tactical niche, and you have like smiley face emojis. Like you would want something that's cool, right? Something that showcases like maybe literally the cool guy emoji, maybe the wow factor emoji, right? So you want to be careful of what emoji you're using as well. The emoji should add to the perceived value, not removed from the perceived value, right? The emoji should add character and be placed in a way where it's not disturbing what's going on in the image, right? The emoji should not be overlapping on the actual product. It should be placed in a way where it's adding value, where you're actually looking at the emoji.
There is always going to be emotion that you want to convey or bring out of the individual who watches your advertisement. Okay. People will convert based on two things, as we know, ladies and gents: emotion and logic. Okay. That's why it needs to make logical sense, price point, etc., angling as to why someone should buy the product, and an emotional reason as to buy the product as well. What emotion do you want to convey or bring out of the actual person while they watch the video? That should be the emoji that you put onto your actual thumbnail to go ahead and act as the enzyme to that emotion actually being, put out from that individual who's watching. Noor says this is so valuable, makes so much sense. The other mastermind group I was in recommended to have text on it, such as 30% off. Now I know why my CPM was so high. One, no text on thumbnail. Two, actually 30% off, 25% off, 50% off. Putting that text on things and you're copying on your thumbnails actually, to my knowledge, actually increases your CPM a lot. So not only putting text on the thumbnail is going to increase your CPM, saying things like 50% off all over your copy and all over your thumbnail is not good at all. That's totally salesy. And that alone will increase your CPM as well. Maybe they were talking about that in 2017 or 2018. But I know now that's taboo and does not work well with the algorithm.
To add on to Justin's point specifically, right? Us as human beings, we don't like to be sold, right? None of us want to be sold. What we want to do is see interesting things, and then we have the decision to obviously decide to go ahead and see whether we want the product or not. So the whole goal is to present an appealing product to an interested audience, a passionate audience, to that niche, and to see if they're interested in buying it, right? At the end of the day, if they say, I need to have this, they're going to find a way to go on your product page and buy it, right? But if you're saying 50% off, buy now, this, that, this, you're now just saying, it's just all salesy text, right? It's coming off as a spam. Every marketer, every ad fed to every little user, literally, is salesy. So how do you differentiate yourself? You're presenting a product. It's a really cool product. It's in that niche. They must be interested in that product. That's why they're seeing the actual ad, and they have the decision whether they want to buy it or not. We're not going ahead and saying, on the text, free shipping now, 50% off, buy this now, limited supply. You don't want to say that on the actual thumbnail, right? That's something that we don't want. Again, spammy, literally 2015 type of dropshipping. We're not in that model. We're going to differentiate ourselves from the competition, and we're going to obviously help you guys do as well. So as Justin mentioned earlier, let's say we don't know what we're looking at, right? The product is still in focus. It's still in frame, right? But the arrow further allows us to go ahead and validate, all right, this is what we're looking at. Because now the thumbnail is like, hey guys, check this out. And the arrow makes you feel like, because obviously the arrow, it starts from place and ends to the place. You want to see what's going on in the arrow. What are people pointing at? What's so important that they're pointing at? So you ask yourself these questions. Literally, I do this as a marketer. Every single day, if I'm scrolling, I see an arrow, I'm like, oh, what they're pointing at, right? So as human beings, there's some, obviously marketing is all about understanding human psychology, right? So if you see the arrow, you are likely to go ahead and just look at that, where it's pointing at, and it's pointing at the dinosaur. Then you're like, why? It's so curious. I have a child. This is pointing at a dinosaur. The emoji looks good. This is very high quality. Let me see what's going on, right? And then that's how the entire process, because it's, all sparks from curiosity, right, guys? And that's why it's important to have this entire structure. Again, last 3 points were product highlighted, right? Product obviously highlighted, emoji, relevant emoji, and emoji placed in the right place. Of course, and notice this emoji is very high quality. It's not blurry. It's not pixelated, nothing like that. It's very, very high quality. Also has a proper placement, because we're not covering anything. We're going behind the actual image, right? We're not covering anything. We're not covering his face. We're not covering this dinosaur, nothing. We're placing it in a proper area where it will only add to the value, not take away from the value. And that's why it's very important to, obviously keep these steps in mind. Last but not least, okay, of course, as I mentioned, anything that relates to, not following Facebook's guidelines and policies will get banned, right? So if you're showing a gun, you're likely to get flagged, right? If you're showing, like let's say you're selling a lighter, right? It may work, and Facebook may pass that, but now you're showing cigarettes. You're showing, that's going to be where Facebook's like, all right, well, this guy can't advertise, or this is where you get flagged, and then your whole assets are banned, right? Again, if you're showing too much close-ups, let's say you're selling, skincare product, and you're showing the skin, like you're literally in the camera, you're showing their skin so upfront, that's going to get banned because it's going to get flagged by too much skin. Keep in mind, there are obviously way more marketers than there are Facebook reps. Right? So what do? They set these rules that obviously automatically trigger themselves using Facebook's AI by the past history that they've seen, right? So maybe you might say it's not fair that, hey, my thumbnail was banned. I think it was totally perfect, right? But Facebook doesn't care. There's just too many marketers out there. And that's why it's important for you to note these points so you can actually, successfully scale your products without these points, with these points, right? And without making these mistakes. Now, again, let's say you're selling a yoga pant product, right? And now you're obviously going to show, nice pose, but no close-ups. Once again, make sure that the image is zoomed out. Make sure, of course, if you could get the person to show eye contact, that would be phenomenal, but make sure it's zoomed out. We do not want something up close. We do not want anything provocative because Facebook is more likely to go ahead and flag that.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that actual video today, going through thumbnails and making it happen. I'm here with my buddy and son, Ziggy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and got some awesome walkthroughs as to how to actually set up your thumbnails properly and do it the right way for maximum proper KPIs. Keep in mind, you don't want to be a perfectionist, but you want to get pretty close to making sure things are proper and structured and aligned with what's actually working, guys. So leave a like in the video as well, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.